Charis human kai rene. Charis human kai rene. I said grace to you and peace, but I said it in the plural. When you say it back to me, what do you say? Charis soi kai rene. Charis soi kai rene. Say it to me. I need it. Charis soi kai rene. Thank you. Okay. And also to you. Okay, well today, puntanamai ti parasu. Puntanamai? Puntanamai? Ti parasu. Puntanama ti parasu. Okay, what does that mean? Yeah. Yeah, may I ask something to you? May I ask you something? May I ask something from you? So if you have a question for me, you can just say puntanamai ti parasu. All right, well, we're on chapter 13. We're continuing on our pronoun unit. Hey, Philip. Welcome. Charis human kai rene. Wait, no. Charis soi kai rene. I felt that. You said it like I saw it in your eyes. Okay. All right. Chapter 13, demonstrative pronouns. What's a pronoun? Word that stands in the place of a noun. We've done personal pronouns, which stand for the basic personal perspectives, first, second, and third person, right? Okay. Now we're moving on to what are called demonstrative pronouns. So what do demonstrative pronouns do? That is what they do. They demonstrate or point out, and in English, our demonstratives are this, these, that, and those. Very good. It's amazing what the book will tell you, isn't it? So the demonstrative, it can be used as a pronoun or it can be used as an adjective. We distinguish between a near demonstrative and the far demonstrative, right? Which one's the near demonstrative? Yeah, this, and in the plural, these. The far demonstrative is that, and in the plural, those. Okay, so they can, though, be used as pronouns or as adjectives. So, for example, look at this. Where's our demonstrative? This, I've used the near demonstrative to refer to this marker, okay? The demonstrative pronoun. But if I say, Katy Perry might like this class, now how have I used the demonstrative this? As an adjective, right? She might like this class. Which class? This class. So, in English, we can use the demonstratives either way. Notice that the demonstratives in English do change depending on number, right? This versus these. That versus those. But they don't change or inflect due to case or gender. Thank you. Case or gender. This pen, this person, this girl, this man, it's all going to be this. It's all going to be the same. Okay, so in Greek, you have a near demonstrative, houtos, haute, tuta. Houtos, haute, tuta. It's the near demonstrative, so it means this. What's different in Greek from English is that you see, it's going to inflect in all three genders. Okay? The far demonstrative is akenos. Akenos, akene, akena. Again, it's going to inflect in masculine, feminine, neuter, and it's also going to inflect in all the cases we've learned so far, nominative, genitive, dative, and accusative. Okay? So this, that. All right? As far as these translations, let me give you 6 more points on how these demonstrative pronouns work. Okay? First, the form. They're just going to follow the regular what pattern? 2-1-2 pattern, with the exception of what? See that? The neuter, nominative, and accusative, again, just like we saw with altas, alte, alta, you would expect a new ending, right? And it uses no ending there. Number 2. When the demonstrative is used like a pronoun, its gender and number are determined by its antecedent. Its gender and number are determined by its antecedent. However, its case will be determined by its use in the sentence. Gender and number by the antecedent, but its case, just like is required in its use in its own clause. Okay? This is exactly the same as we saw with alta, so nothing new there. When a demonstrative functions like an adjective, though, it has to agree with its antecedent in what? Gender, case, and number. All 3. And that's why they inflect in all the genders and all the cases. You must have agreement. Okay. Because the demonstratives have gender inflection in Greek, you can expand your translation to reflect that gender. So if you have hutas as a pronoun, how could we translate that? You could say this man because you know it's masculine. It's got the masculine endings on it. If you see something that's like this, halte, you could translate it this woman. And if you see tuta, you could translate it as this thing. Okay? Somebody get this thing out of here. Halte, what does that look similar to? Something that you've seen recently. It looks like altas, alte, alta, but with 2 differences. Yep. Altas, alte, alta, rough breathing versus smooth, and accented here versus accented on the final syllable. Both of those differences. So one of those places where breathing marks and accents help you out and do make a difference to your translation. Okay? Number 5. When the demonstratives function as adjectives, they're always in predicate position. See, there it is again. Predicate position won't go away. When we introduced it in chapter 8, I said this is one of these things that seems really insignificant and trivial, and so you're just going to pretend like I'm not saying it. And then it comes up all the time. What's predicate position? The adjective will be anarthrous. It's modifying a noun, but the adjective itself is anarthrous. Now, usually when something's in predicate position, we translate it like a predicate adjective or predicate nominative. What's different about the demonstratives is that they stand in predicate position even when they function attributively. Okay? Okay, is that okay with you? Well, it's just the way things are. So if you have this, hutas ha anthropos, that's in predicate position. Why? It's modifying or agreeing with some noun, but the adjective itself is anarthrous. So when this happens, usually it's a predicate nominative, and you would think it means this is the man, right? The thing with demonstratives is this could be attributive in meaning even though it's predicate in position. And if that's true, how would we translate this? This man. Are you all following this?
Not really.
Okay, which part? Predicate position?
Yes and no.
Okay. When you have an adjective in agreement with a noun, but the adjective lacks the article. That's what makes it predicate position, is the anarthrous adjective. Okay? Now, usually if something is in predicate position, it's a predicate nominative. So the man is this one. But with the demonstrative pronouns, even when it's in predicate position and lacks the article, it can be functioning attributively. This man. Okay? The man is this one is different from saying this man. So how do you know the difference between a demonstrative functioning attributively and a demonstrative functioning predicately?
It's translated. I mean, it's a different word, right? They're just, like,
No. This right here could be translated in two different ways. Right? It could be translated like a predicate expression. Abby, what would it mean then? Yeah, the man is this guy. Or this same expression written exactly the same way could be translated as an attributive expression, and then it would mean this man. The same expression, the same words written in the same order, could be interpreted two different ways. And only context will tell you or suggest to you which one you should do. All right, got it? And again, this is something that's peculiar about the demonstratives and a couple other words. Pas, pas, upon also does that. It's always in predicate position even when it functions attributively. Okay, make sure you get attributive and predicate position down if you haven't yet, because that was first introduced in chapter 8 and it's come up a few times since then. It'll continue to come up and it'll be relevant in translation always. All right. Here's number 6. Really similar to number 4. It's basically to say that the demonstrative pronoun could function roughly equivalent to the personal pronoun. So if you have hutas, you might translate it how? Well, okay, but if we're saying it's the person, it's essentially similar to the personal pronoun. Personal pronoun would be, I think Jesse said it, he, right? So what's the difference between saying he and saying this man? Very little, right? But in some cases, one might be more suitable than another. Okay, so those are the 6 things. All right, everybody breathe. Okay? Now, everybody breathe, like really heavy. Okay. Now do it really fast.
Do you want us to have a panic attack?
Yes.
You're going.
Okay? No, I'm trying to show you how silly it is to have a panic attack over something so much fun. Okay? All right. We ready? So there's your pronouns. Back to nouns for a second, because that's how Mounts likes to roll. We've done the nominative, the genitive. What are the other two? Dative and accusative. How many cases are there in Koine Greek? 5. Depends on who you ask. But I say 5. And so do people with brains. Okay? Some people say that there's 8. Vocative. I know, right? Aren't you glad I didn't do the 8 one for you? That would be 3 more cases for you to learn. Would you rather learn? 5 or 8? Just tell me.
5.
Thank you. Okay? 4? No, you thank me. All right, so here's the deal. We're adding the 5th case called the vocative case. The vocative is the case of, look, if you've had Latin, voco, vocare, vocavi, vocatum. What does that mean? To call. So what's the vocative case? The case of calling. It's the case of direct address. So when you say, Sarah, storms are brewing in your eyes. Okay? How is Sarah functioning there? How is it functioning?
It's imperative.
It's only evoking her attention, right? Evoking her to attention. So it's the case of direct address. All right, question? Mm-hmm.
Phil told me this case isn't real.
It's not real. Phil Morrow told you that? Well, Phil's just living in a fantasy world. So what he may mean is this, okay? The vocative is almost always identical in form to the nominative. Yes, except that he's still wrong, okay? Because it's not always identical to the nominative. It's usually identical to the nominative. It's identical to the nominative always in the plural. Usually in the singular, with the exception of the second declension. Anybody who knows Latin knows this is exactly the same in Latin. The second declension vocative ending is, in Latin it's E, and Greek it's eh, just like that. So you don't use the nominative ending there. And then there are some strange cases in the third declension that it's really too technical to go into. But in the third declension, sometimes the vocative does differ from the nominative in form, but not by very much. Okay? So that's the vocative. All right. So we can now summarize what each of the 5 cases does. All right? What's the nominative case? Now, before you say subject, it's not the case of subject, because it can also do other stuff, right? What else can the nominative do? Predicate nominative, right? So here's your lesson on diachronic Indo-European linguistics. All right? You ready? Everybody perks up. Originally, there was a single unifying function of each case. And originally, they say, and some people think, there were 8 cases in Indo-European. So Indo-European languages, offspring of Indo-European, the parent, some of them did have 8 cases. And we think that it's possible that Greek originally had more than 5. And each one had one basic function. So the nominative basic function is, look, nomen, what is it? It's the case of naming. And you can name something as a subject or you can name something as a predicate nominative, but it's both ways of naming, right? Okay, the genitive was originally the case of source or origin. So if I say that's the son of me, you see how we're using the of, right? But who's the source of the son? The thing in the genitive, right? He's the son of me, or that has come from me. See how that works? So it was originally the case of source, and that's why it has genit in there, right? Anything in English with that genit, generate, genital, any of that has to do with the idea of generating or being the source that causes something else to come into being. Okay? So source, what happened though is that the Greek genitive absorbed one of those other 3 cases that was called the ablative. It absorbed its function. The ablative originally functioned to indicate separation. And if you've taken Latin again, you know the ablative survives in Latin, and there's 6 cases in Latin. The Greek genitive has simply absorbed it. So again, that of idea can indicate separation. If we say, I'm in need of food, what am I saying? I am separate. I am at a distance from food. I am in need of food, and we are separate from each other right now. So again, you see how that of covers over both of those basic functions. A dative was originally the case of interest, which means it tells you the person or thing that is benefited or at a disadvantage because of the action. So I gave a ring to my girlfriend. Okay? She was either benefited or at a disadvantage because of that act. Okay? To my girlfriend. So that's why this could indicate an indirect object, but there are other ways that something can express interest as well. Okay? So nominative could be subject, could be predicate nominative, genitive, sometimes possession, which is really an extension of the idea of source, but there are other genitive functions that we'll see as well. Dative could be an indirect object, but there are other dative uses that we'll see as well. Accusative is the case of a limitation. Now you've learned that an accusative is usually a direct object, right? That's one way of limiting the scope of an action. If I say I love, I need to limit that somehow, right? It doesn't just mean I love generally. We want to limit its scope or its directedness with some direct object. In Greek, you put that direct object in the accusative. See? So the direct object is one way we would show limitation of the application of an action. See that? Now, any of these three could also be objects of a preposition. So what you want to see is that each case actually has multiple sub-functions, but kind of one overarching function. Although the genitive and the dative have both absorbed the other Indo-European cases, the ablative, the locative, and the instrumental. Okay? And then the vocative is the case of direct address. So now you understand the case system and how it works. It's not just these arbitrary endings that they're throwing on the ends of words to confuse school children. All right? It's a very reasonable system where the change in ending indicates some kind of change in function. Got it? Questions on that? On a scale of 1 to 10, how exciting is the vocative to you? Okay. Okay, let's do it this way. Put your heads down on your desk. Close your eyes. Nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, vocative. Raise your hand if your favorite case is the nominative. Y'all just say that because it's the easiest.
Weird.
Raise your hand if your favorite is the genitive. Okay. Raise your hand if your favorite is the dative. Pfft. Raise your hand if it's accusative. Whoa, people. Raise your hand if it's vocative. Okay, every person in here voted more than once. Okay? No. Let's do this again. No. We're doing it again, and you can only vote once. All right? Heads down, we're going to do it.
Okay, wait, so I raised my hand every time, but then I was like, this meant no. I can't.
Well, I'm too stupid to follow that. Okay, heads down. Let's try this again, people. Nominative. Genitive. I saw somebody flash a hand. Dative. Accusative. Vocative. Stop flashing. Okay. There we go. Everybody look, three-way tie, and then the genitive gets 5. So that's pretty good. Actually, why don't we do this? Let's just do this. Let's do it again, and the only two you're allowed to vote for are nominative and genitive. Okay? Heads down.
But the dative, though.
Nope, sorry. I was tiebreaker. I like the nominative. No, I don't know. It used to be the most popular. All right, nominative. Genitive. Holy mac. Okay. Genitive wins at 8 votes. What does this mean?
That you
I don't know.
vote for dative?
There's probably some theological significance beneath it.
There's probably something along.
See, you like the case of possession. Materialistic millennials.
Who do you like?
Who do I like?
Who do you like?
It's a deep knowing.
Well, I will actually, if you take Greek 3, wait, what?
It's a deep longing and knowing inside of us that we belong to someone. We're from God.
See, that's awesome. I love that. Okay, if you take Greek 3, this will become your least favorite case. Just saying. It's Providence's way of evening out our love for the cases. The genitive is one of these, I told you, each case doesn't just have one subfunction. There's the textbook we use in Greek 3 gives the genitive like 30 different uses. Now, before you get all bent out of shape, you're still going to translate it of almost every time. It's just a different kind of. I know, right?
Wait, so which one's your favorite?
Which one's my favorite? Oh,
You have to
man.
have a favorite.
This is.
Somebody does have a favorite.
I bet he has a bunch of sub-favorites, like out of the...
Sub-favorites.
It's gonna be like, well, I like this one out of this one, but this one out of this one is also
No,
pretty great.
I like. The vocative's pretty good.
No, it has to be between nominative and genitive. Since we made it.
Ooh, that's how free will works, is it?
That's what you made us do?
Pick anyone you want. It can only be the genitive, though. Okay. All right.
How do you like the vocative?
Why do I like it? Because nobody else picked it.
I have an actual.
Just want to be different.
So going back, it was like chapter 10 or something, but we had maybe it was 11. 2 of the words were I do, I day, are see, behold. Would that,
Yeah.
what case is that?
Oh, yeah. See, those are verbs, though. Right? So the cases apply to nouns. Ide is actually an imperative verb. Mm-hmm. And they do. Both of them look like case endings, right? But okay, let's go in the book to 110. There's some other odds and ends that Mounts adds here. Adjectives. See, we're doing a little of everything here. We do some pronouns, we do some nouns. Now he's bringing us to adjectives again. An adjective modifies some noun or substantive, right? They come in 3 degrees, though. So in high school, at the end of the year, when you vote for senior superlatives, what does superlative mean? It means you're the highest degree of something, right? Best looking, most likely to be successful, most annoying. It can be anything. It's the highest degree, though. So you actually have 3 degrees. The positive, which is just a quality by itself without comparison. Great. Comparative degree, which is a greater degree of that quality. So you would say greater. And then the superlative, which is the highest degree of that quality, so you would say greatest. Okay. Look at 13.12, something called Crassus. And he gives you an example. He says, in this chapter, you will meet Cago. Now look at Cago and tell me what's weird about it. It's just weird. Well, you see the marks.
Is that a breathing mark?
It looks like a breathing mark, but not at the beginning of a word. That's what's strange about it, right? Breathing marks only go on vowels and diphthongs or a row at the beginning of a word. So it's actually not a breathing mark. It's an apostrophe that marks a phenomenon called Crassus. Crassus is the Greek word for mixing. So this is actually just a mix of what were 2 separate words. Kai ego. That's kind of like our contractions. Instead of saying are not, we say aren't because it's just more fluid. They did the same thing. Instead of saying kai ego, which they felt was too difficult, they just said kago, which really does sound better in my opinion. Kago. So you'll see lots of different Crassuses in the New Testament.
Did you just have the context?
Yeah. Yeah, just learning some of the more common ones will help you. So Camus is kai emu. So most of them have a word that begins in epsilon next. So kayeke would be kake. So yeah, if you see the Crassus in the middle of a word, especially on kappa alpha, probably Crassus. Separate them. All right, last, 13.13. Look at this adjective paulus. Paulus is special. Tell me what declension pattern it follows. Or does it? Paulus.
Follows the endings, but it doesn't end in omicron.
Paulus, pale, paulus. So when you get to the genitive and dative, oo, o, that looks like the 2-1-2 pattern, right? Oo, o, ace, a, oo, o. The problem is, paloon and palu. What declension is that following? First of all, the stem is different, but look at the ending. It's third declension. Sasia, but then with the alternate ending nu. Remember that? And then here, no ending, no ending. So it's a 2-1-2, except in those 4 places where it follows 3. Megas is also like that. Megas, megale, mega. 2-1-2, except in those 4 places where it follows 3.
How come in a bunch of the different ones they're added lambda?
They add, it's using a different stem.
How do you distinguish when to use that stem?
Well, it's only in those 4 places that it uses the single lambda.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so the same 4 places where it's third declension, are the same four places where you use the single lambda. All right. Vocab. This is the fun part. All right. 111. Ready? Hey gune gunaikas.
Hey, gune, gune,
It's a woman or a wife. And just to be completely medical about this, this is where we get the word gynecology. If you've got an upsilon in Greek, it's going to come into English as a Y usually. So sometimes that could help you. If you see gune, think gyne, and then maybe you think gynecology, and then maybe you think woman. Okay? Whatever helps. Hey dikaiasune dikaiasunes.
Hey, dekaiasune, dekaiasunes.
Dodica.
Dodica.
Healtu, healtes, healtu.
Healtu, healtes, healtu.
Akenas, akene, akena.
Akenos, akene, akena.
A. Kago.
Kago.
Makarias, Makaria, Makarian.
Makarias, Makaria, Makaria.
Hey Makaria.
Hey, Makaria.
It means blessed. So, hey, blessed girl. Hey, because it's feminine. Megas, megale, mega.
Megas, megale, mega.
Hey, Paulus, Paulaos.
Hey, Paulus, Paulus.
Pelus, pele, pelu.
Pelus, pele, pelu.
Pos.
Pos.
Ta semeon, semeu.
Ta semeon, semeu.
If you know anything about linguistics, the field of semiotics, it's the study of signs and sign systems. It's like language. All right, so we're creeping up to 64% from what, 62 and a half? We're basically at 2/3. This is, and in Major League Baseball, this would be like an amazing win percentage, right? 64%. So think about it that way.
It's like,
So we can
You're really, you'd be a really good baseball team if you knew this many Greek vocabulary words, and it was the same as baseball. Okay. All right. Let's do just a couple parsies.
Brooklyn, did you watch the Astros?
The Astros? Yes. I saw Jose Altuve run home on that crazy play. Yeah. Yeah. He did. It paid. He's Jose. I mean, it was an amazing slide. He was 4 feet off the plate. All right. Two-tone. No, I'm not speaking English. That's Greek. Two-tone. All right, Jesse.
It's third person genitive, plural, any gender from krutos, of these.
Yep. Remember, on adjectives, anything that inflects masculine, feminine, neuter, give the masculine nominative as the lexical form, because that's where you'll find it in the dictionary. All right, let's go down to the warm-up. Ek tu kosmu tutu. Somebody other than Wesley, tell me what position tutu is in. It's that thing that nobody, it's like people are resistant to learning this particular fact. What position is it in? What position is it in? Not what cases. The chapter 8 thing that I keep bringing up. The predicate position, right? It's always, because the demonstratives are always in predicate position, even when they function attributively. You see that? So what does this say?
From this guy?
Close. From this world. From this world. Now, you see why this is important? Usually predicate position, you would put an is in there. From the world is this. But that's, again, it's a demonstrative, so it's always in predicate position, even when it functions, say it, attributively. Okay. Indetais himeras ekenais. De is post-positive. Do you remember that? That means it always comes second. We would translate it first. So just flip that to the beginning. En is a preposition and governs what case? The dative. The en governs dative always. And so tais, hemerais, ekenais, all dative. So why is all of that dative? Because of en. And this is where this comes back in. We translate datives to often, right? Usually when it's an indirect object. If it's the object of a preposition, that's a different reason for being dative. And you don't need to use to. Here, you're just going to use en. So it says and in those days, and again, ekenais is in predicate position, but translated as if it's attributive. You see how this works? Okay. Look. Greek is hard. Requires a ton of memorization. But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Okay? It's true. Look, anybody's ever played a sport seriously? That's how it works, right? And this is how Greek works. But the payoff when you finally get to the major leagues, okay, is great. When you pick up your Greek New Testament and you're like, let me just see what that says in the Greek, pastor. And you tell your pastor what it says, okay? And then he hired